Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closures.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Ammar, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to have John Kepley, the founder and CEO of Solved Health AI. This is a company revolutionizing healthcare diagnostics through AI-powered solutions. With a deep background in IT consulting and a proven entrepreneurial track record, including leading tech systems to major growth, John is now on a mission to tackle inefficiencies in the US healthcare system using technology, data, and artificial intelligence. John, welcome to Founders Future.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm excited to dive in. I'm excited to get to know you better. I always like to start from the beginning. So take us back before you started the company right now, Solved Health AI. For the people that don't know you, give them a brief background. What made you decide to start the company, and what problems were you hoping to solve in the market?
Yeah, so thanks for the opportunity. I love talking about a couple of different things. One is my wife and kids. The other one is my companies, right? And so really love that chance. So Solved started 6 years ago. I own a company called Tech. We were building the app for the American College of Emergency Physicians. They asked us to ideate on a game, and we conceptualized something. 2020 hit. Full stop on all kinds of things. During that time, we parted ways. The IP stayed with me because they chose not to move forward with it. And there's something in every entrepreneur's gut that says, hey, this needs to be in the world, right? It just stayed with me. And I was working on half a dozen other projects at the same time and trying to figure out which one was going to be the one that entered the world. I've been an entrepreneur for 25 years, right? My entrepreneurial journey starts back in 2001, and I guess 24 years. And with that, I've had success. I've been an Inc. 500 CEO. I've built companies and different things. This is the first foray into building a product, if you will, that was mine. And so I crossed paths in 2022 with a very prominent physician here in Nashville, and he validated the need for the product through his tenure. And he is a Hall of Fame physician here in the state of Tennessee. And so I was like, okay, there's validation. And where does it belong? And I, through my best friend from high school, who is a lieutenant in EMS here in Tennessee, called him, I'm in front of his chief. He gave me an entire hour of why it was needed for EMS specifically. And what is this? So we have built the only personalized, scenario-based training model for healthcare, right? So, Ammar, the term practicing medicine has been used since 1421. And we're still, right, 600 years later, practicing medicine, right, if you will, right? Because the human body continues to change. It continues to evolve. There is no solid, we've got it figured out. That doesn't exist, right? And case in point, 2020. And so when we think about where a physician or where any kind of medical professional goes to practice their craft, there isn't a place that's easily accessible to them to go, okay, how I should do something if I'm ever presented with this problem. Right? And there's millions of problems out there. I have two chief medical officers in Solve today, and Dr. Brett Greenfield's one of those. And he's like, John, he goes, we can take one scenario and I can change it 5 different ways, the same scenario. And he said, it's a completely different set of protocols based on one change. Right? That's the difficulty. Then you layer in the fact that EMS has to follow protocols. All 50 states in the United States have a different set of EMS protocols. There is a national standard. Each one of those states have changed, in most cases, the national standard to fit them. And then here in Tennessee, there's 95 counties, and all 95 counties have a medical director, and there's 80 somewhat different sets of protocols just for our state.
Wow.
Okay.
And that's in one state. Yeah.
That's one state. There isn't a place for them to go, okay, if I'm presented with this problem, what is the step-by-step piece that I've got to pull forward immediately to go and help that human that needs help get to a better place? And so we've accepted the challenge as a company to go, no, we're going to create Duolingo for healthcare. That's what we've done, right? We have created a gamified scenario-based model that allows a healthcare professional to be challenged and can go into a sandbox and make mistakes so that when they're presented with the thing in real life, a problem in real life, they can address it faster, more accurately, and with the goal that we're going to help save a life one day. That's our goal.
For sure. It's the same as any athlete doing anything. They are constantly practicing on the court, on the field. And then when it comes to game time, they've put the repetition in so much that it's second nature. So for the people that don't know, can you let us know, what does EMS stand for?
Emergency Medical Society. So EMS, that's what EMS stands for. And it's your paramedics, it's your first responders, it's your emergency medicine technicians. That is that overarching piece.
Yep.
And I almost forgot, I say EMS so often that for certain my team is going to make fun of me for stumbling on that, because I say it so many times. I'm like, wait, what does it stand for? So
I get what you mean.
In healthcare, man, the world of acronyms is off the chart. And having not been a medical professional myself, but I'm coming from the consumer engagement world, right? That's where I bring, my skill set. And how do you engage someone in a way that creates bond? Right?
For sure. I'm sorry, go for it.
No, go ahead.
I'm super curious. So you bumped into the physician that's now one of your chief medical physicians.
So Dr. Harry Jacobson is who I met in 2022.
Okay.
He's effectively retired. He does some investing, those kind of things. But he's got a company that he's gone all in on the population health side. So there's that. And so I had to go, so let's just say in 2023, I started having conversations with folks. We ultimately put hands on keyboard in early 2024. And there's a whole story around that. But we bootstrapped this. We've got a little friends and family money, but for the most part, I bootstrapped this to here, right? We're in the market today to raise a little money, but we're going to seed strap this, is what it's called today. And we're going to get to profitability. The goal is not to have to raise a lot of money. We're going to be able to build this in a way that we keep the cost to the end user really low, and we're able to maximize the value out in the marketplace. So.
Got it. Let's connect after this. When it comes, if you're looking to raise capital, I can connect you with certain people. But something that I'm very curious about, you bumped into the physician that helped you validate the idea.
Yeah.
Where did you even first yourself feel like this is something that could be a product? Like, where did you even get like the light bulb moment, so to speak?
Yeah. So back in 2019, when we ideated this for ASAP, they actually went and pitched it to AstraZeneca. So it takes 2 to 3 years for a new drug comes to market. It takes 2 to 3 years before that drug actually gets any kind of momentum of usage, right? Because you've got to, again, change every doctor's brain to go, you don't subscribe this, you subscribe this, right? And at the time, we ideated something we called Solved, which was basically a quiz app, right? And with the goal being, hey, you're on a physician's phone, and we can put medical device or drug, right, into are you familiar with Kahoot?
Yes, I am. It's like a gaming thing.
It's
gamifies puzzles,
right? And it was actually designed by a professor. It's effectively, you get a code, there can be 10 of you, it doesn't really matter. And the Trivia Pursuit question comes up. You've got 4 answers, and you're all trying to rush to answer it, and you get points based on correct answer plus time, right?
Yep.
And they've got an algorithm behind it. But you also get negative points right? If you get it wrong. So it's a plus or minus. And it's normally a 10 question game, and the points are always shifting all the way through kind of thing. And ton of fun. Lots of schools, elementary schools, high schools, colleges, everybody is using that product today. Went public back in 2013 at a $3 billion valuation. So wow. We designed something similar, right? But for healthcare, right? Hey, if you're presented with this, which drug would you use? And here's 4 options, right? Kind of thing was the initial piece. AstraZeneca was like, yeah, that makes sense to us, right? We potentially will fund it, is what I was hearing. We didn't pitch, they pitched them. But again, you get into early 2020 and the pandemic hits, and nothing matters except that took a back seat. We delivered version 2 of our app, of their app to them, right? We built version 1, we built version 2. And by that point, a lot of leadership had changed. It was time for us to part ways, and we did. But I'd gotten a glimmer of, this is a idea that's worth moving forward, right? And I started having conversations with others, wasn't getting a lot of traction as far as, because people can see it. There's nothing out there like it. And I end up in front of Dr. Jacobson, and by happenstance, a friend of mine made the introduction, and I went in and I made that. I had 2 app ideas, and this was one of them. And he actually grabbed my laptop and starts looking at it, because I built out a very ugly pitch deck. And he was like, no, this is needed. He said, I got 3 things for you, John. He said, 1, he goes, this is needed. And he goes, the gap between what a medical professional is supposed to be able to do and what they actually can do is widening daily. Right? And so I was like, light bulb, right? 2, he goes, you're never going to get a physician to use this. He said, you're going to see it, the Gamified app, and they're going to go, click. That's not, I do serious stuff. I don't do gaming. And then 3, he said, so you're going to have to figure out, how do you get any traction with this? Because
how do you position it in a way where your target customer wants to? Help us understand, like, how does something like this actually generate revenue? Where is the monetization piece? Sure. Who's the person that's purchasing from you?
So we're a freemium plus go-to-market. And so there is a freemium version in the marketplace today, right? So somebody can go download EM Team right now and go in, and we've customized. We're at 30 states. We'll have the other 20 in the next week or so. And you'll at least be able to go in and run through scenarios, either through national standards in the EMS space, or if we've got your state, which is everything east of effectively Missouri, right? We've gotten in the app, you'll be able to run through custom scenario-based models based on your state's protocols, right there. You want a pro version, right? Say, hey, these change quarterly right now, right? All of the scenarios change per season, right? And so imagine Florida in December doesn't need Minnesota, right? Scenarios, right? And so it's based on location, it's based on seasonality, and those will change. You'll be able to get continuing education units, right, through our app, and you'll also get all the data for your folks, right? Some of this is based on, how do you give someone the confidence needed to go, I know how to address something. Imagine EMS, when you think about an EMS professional, right? Paramedic, first responder, whatever, walks into a situation having no idea what they're about to see, 1. But when they do see it, they've immediately got to pull forward whatever that is and go to work, right? And I actually, here in Middle Tennessee, went to a junior college that had some nursing programs, and started talking to them. And they said, and then they were the ones that brought up EMS. And I was like, I hadn't thought about that. And they were like, yeah, we do quite a bit through that. You might want to look at that.
Yeah.
My friend from high school has been doing it ever since he got out of high school. Called him. He was like, I don't know, John. He said, but let me put you in front of my chief.
Yeah.
Who is 30 plus years, very educated, is a trainer, sits on the board for the state of Tennessee. So I get in front of him, right? And so you think about, as a Christian, God's path of going, okay, what's the next breadcrumb I'm going to put in front of you? So I sit in front of Chief Greg Miller, and Greg goes, we're about to have a great conversation, John. And I was like, fantastic. This is January 2023. And we spent 2 hours talking about what was needed in EMS, and how do you create pathways so that someone can go in and go, okay, I'm 5 years in and I'm an EMT. And in the world of EMS, you've got first responder, EMT, advanced, paramedic, and then you have higher levels of paramedic, right? There's critical care, there's those kind of things. And, each one requires additional continuing education every year. Each one requires a different skill set. And you get into the complexity of just that world. There's about 2 million EMS professionals here in the United States. We believe strongly that we want it on every single person's device. So that's a longer story, but that's how that came to be.
For sure. And it sounds like it could be positioned for both existing professionals and ones that are in training, that are maybe in school, that are about to hit the workforce. Is it like a low ticket subscription model? Is it like an annual thing? What is that?
It's $140. It's $140 a year.
And are you positioning yourself to go after the individuals or maybe the organizations, like the hospital?
Municipalities, right? All the municipalities have education buckets of money.
Yeah.
States have those buckets of money as well. We want to create something that has really high impact. The subscription model is very
affordable.
Very affordable. And we're able to bring something that doesn't exist today. And two, is going to allow not only the leadership to have the confidence, but the person doing the job to have the confidence that they can go and address those situations. Best is being asked to do so many more things than they were even 10 years ago because of just the complexity of healthcare. And then 2020 put a ton of weight on that particular, all of healthcare, but that one didn't really get the flowers it deserved, if you will, through that. And a lot of EMS professionals, because of that, moved into the nursing ranks because a lot of nurses left healthcare. So you've got this whole, we're 5 years past the pandemic, if you will, but at the same time, we're still, in a lot of cases, healthcare reeling from that. So
1,000%. Can I ask you a strange question?
Yes.
Why is this important for you?
I think every entrepreneur looks for something that has some kind of impact in the world that's going to bring something positive, right? I think if you look, and I've studied entrepreneurs for a long time. I grew up in a small business family. My dad and grandfather owned a farm. I'm a farm kid, right? And so my mom owned a flower shop. My uncle owned a stockyard. There's a lot of that. And we run as a team towards building something that's going to ultimately save somebody's life every day. I get the chance every day to look at a screen full of passionate individuals who have jumped on board and said, okay, that's needed. I've got 2 medical directors. I've got 2 paramedics. I've got a special forces EMS guy on the team. I've got 2 of my folks are former paramedics that have gotten into IT. And, these are fantastic humans. And we're going, okay, at some point, right, that top right quadrant, which is high impact to the individual, you don't see it very often, right? Think about when you think about the chronic illness space, there's 24 million chronically ill humans walking around in the United States today carrying some kind of pharmaceutical on their being because of their condition.
Yeah.
One of the scariest things that person can do is call 911 because the person who wants to come help probably can't because of the uniqueness of whatever they have going on.
Explain that.
I don't challenge for a person who has some kind of, so I have a niece that has a high allergy to certain foods, right? And so there's medications she can't take because of the severity of her allergies. And so you're coming to help her, right? Simple broken arm or something along those lines. And she needs some kind of drug for pain or whatever it is. There's certain ones she can't take, kind of thing. Now, in most cases, that person coming has locked in, I'm going to a car accident. All right. And so they immediately have things in their head of going, hey, these are the things that I'm trying to prepare. Just like you mentioned athlete, I'm preparing for this, right?
Yeah.
And she goes, and she's let's say she's conscious, right?
Okay.
Hey, I'm this. Boom, they've got to completely shift how they address that, right?
Yeah.
There's no training for that because there's not time, nor is there any kind of budget because
Yeah.
you're thinking about something that's a 0.1 percentile versus this high impact to her kind of thing. If we can get our app dialed in and you've got specifically a chronic illness component to the app where they can go in and at least run through scenarios, right? Where
Yeah.
that's the case, they'll have some semblance of how to address that when they get there, right?
Yeah.
Because we've given them a chance to have what we call a sandbox to do that in.
Yeah. Something that just came to my mind, and I think this would be super interesting, is maybe if you don't have this already, is some sort of statistics around how much does it cost hospitals every single year because of the mistakes that the doctors are making because of
$2 billion
inefficiency.
a year.
So you
$2
already know.
billion a year and 100,000 lives a year. That's what it costs.
Crazy.
That's the cost. Misdiagnosis is a $2 billion hidden problem in our healthcare system.
And then think about the lawsuits that come out of that.
Yeah.
Wow. So you have a lot of
question, by the way. That was it.
Yeah.
That was good. You already was there, and so that's the
Yeah.
hidden cost, and no one talks about because like, how do we fix it? And we hope to be at least a piece of that solution.
For sure. Because I always think of like the marketing angle or sales angle. And whenever you can help unfortunately, these large organizations, as long as if it's not going to help them make more money or save more money, then sometimes they're not into it. But maybe I'm projecting, right? I could be wrong about that. However, I'm very curious because you obviously have an extensive resume when it comes to entrepreneurship. What's like the best piece of advice you've received about scaling one of your companies?
So when you think about growth, understanding this is somewhat of a well-worn road, right? Of understanding who you're doing it for, right? Best piece of advice that I can give somebody is listen, when everyone is telling you you're wrong, you have to follow gut, right? You have to go, no, this is right. I actually got this idea got laughed at, right, by a couple of folks that I first took it to. Whatever kind of thing. And specifically in the fact that I was using the word gamified, and that was in healthcare that got triggered of you're not being serious or you not know what we do, or there's lots of things. And as I mentioned, this is a 6-year rock that I carried to here of, no, I know it belongs in the world. What I didn't realize that what we do today isn't possible as an app without AI. We're not able to customize a training solution for an individual without AI. And so we have a custom AI that we've developed over the last 2 years. And it's because today you can't go into ChatGPT and get this done. It's not the hallucinations and pieces, it's just not possible. Follow your vision, understand who you're doing it for, and understand that you're going to be laughed at, you're going to be told it's wrong, you're going to be people who can't see it, right, are going to not get on board. And it's not because of anything other than they can't see themselves doing it. If they can't see themselves doing it, they're going to say you can't do it. Right? It goes back to David Goggins when he went in and said, I'm going to be a Navy SEAL. And he was at that time 280 pounds. And those Navy recruiters like, there's no possibility. And it wasn't because he did. He became a Navy SEAL and he did all the things.
Yep.
So it is possible. They couldn't see them doing what was necessary to get there. And if they can't see it, they're not going to tell you can do it for certain. And so in my entrepreneur journey, I recently, over time, have embraced the fact that if you're going to ignore the boos and all the things said, you've got to, when it flips, you've also got to ignore all the applause and all you can't have one without the other. So you either choose to embrace it all or you choose to ignore it all. But it's one of those two things. And I've grabbed a hold of that. So I have a lot of what I call YouTube mentors, right? Your David Goggins, your Inky Johnsons, your Eric Thomases, your TD Jakes, your Steve Harveys, your that crew of people who have blessed me by going and telling their stories around perseverance to get to where they are. And for certain, it's not for the meek by any stretch. You got to be a little nuts to start a company.
Yeah.
And to try to stay married. I have a beautiful wife. So most 80 in the world of entrepreneurship, the divorce rate is about 80%.
Wow, I did not know that.
My wife likes to say, when I've said that in times, she's again, the other 20% are thinking about it. So there's a point where
that's hilarious.
It's hard. It is flat out hard, and the universe is going to test you. I'll give you this. When Eric Thomas tells a story about the fact that a young man went up to a guy after he spoke and said, "Hey, I want to be you. I want the success you have." And the guy looked at him and said, "You sure?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm positive. I want it." He was like, "Okay, meet me tomorrow morning, 6 a.m." Right? And so the guy drives up. The older guy's already there, and it's at a beach. Guy's suited up, right? So he walks out, looking around, going, "I don't know what's going on." He said, "You sure you want to do this?" And the guy goes, "Yeah, I want to do this." So, okay, follow me. And so they walk out and they go waist deep into the ocean. Now this guy's suited, right? He's going, "What the hell is going on here?" And so he goes, "You positive?" And the guy goes, "Yeah, I guess," right? Kind of thing. So, okay, follow me. And so they went out and now they're neck deep. At that point, the younger gentleman's is about to go, "What the fuck?" kind of thing, right? About that time, the older guy dunks him, grabs him and dunks him, and holds him under. The guy's kicking it, and he pulls him up, lets him breathe, and dunks him again. Right? Guys, lets him up. Guy gets free, goes to the beach, right? They go to the beach. The guy's breathing, he's spitting up water and all the deal. And he starts screaming and cursing at the guy, and the guy's just standing there.
Yeah.
He goes, "You've got to want success as much as you wanted to breathe." It's the same thing.
Yeah, I love that story.
And I have lived that, right? So when I had a company, we hit the Inc. 500. I made changes. Those changes didn't work out. In 2016, the business goes under, left me with a lot of debt, left me in a really dark spot of my life. And I got blessed in March of 2016 by crossing paths with a former monk, Hindu priest by the name of Dan Dapani. And Dan Dapani, at a retreat, taught meditation. He taught energy flow. He taught mindfulness, right? And I walked out of that with a glimmer of hope 9 years ago and it's been a 9-year journey, man. I'm thinking I had a hospitality app that was being built and was supposed to go live in May of 2020.
Wow.
And so 2 months, so the pandemic hits, hospitality app isn't needed in May of 2020. And we missed a window and it goes under, and you're gonna be held under the water a lot longer than you want to be. And can you muster the strength? Can you live in uncertainty and just go, "No, I know this is given to me. I know I need to birth this, and I'm just going to sit here in this uncertainty and know that I'm taken care of. Know that everything's going to be all right."
Yeah. I love that. You mentioned so many great points there. I love that story, by the way, by Eric Thomas. How Bad Do You Want It? One of my favorite YouTube videos. Super old. It was like the OG days when YouTube first came out.
Yeah, ET's been around a long time. So
he's a legend for sure. And I like that you talk about the mindfulness piece, and there's an energy component to it. There's a huge mental component to it of just keeping your mental in check. What is the best way for people to reach you? And is there anything specific that you guys need right now? If somebody's listening to this and they love the mission, they love where you guys are going and what you're doing and who you're helping, what is it that you need? How can they be of assistance? And then how can they reach out to you?
I appreciate that. Yeah, you can easily find me on LinkedIn. I've been on LinkedIn a long time. You can you search John Kepley and I'll come up. There's a few apparently out there, but I'm the one I got, I guess, 26,000 connections.
He's a good looking jacked one.
Find me on LinkedIn and all of my contact information is there. And I'm at Kepley at just last name at solvedhealthcare.ai. is my email address. Connections to EMS professionals, connections to medical universities. So we actually have a product. We're partnering with the Carlisle School of Medicine at the University of Illinois in the fall to bring our second product to market, helping our medical students accelerate learning by a app-based learning model that will partner with their curriculum and fortify what's being taught in classrooms. So classroom learning statistically has about a 5 to 10% retention model.
Wow.
Being taught to means gets you almost there.
Yeah.
Scenario-based learning statistically is a 70% retention model. And so if we can we're going to build a scenario-based model based on what they're learning in class. And that model combined, the hypothesis is that we'll accelerate their ability to retain that and then be able to use it in real life. One of the things that Dr. Greenfield talks about is that when he gets somebody out of school, it's 3 months before he ever lets them touch a person. Now, they're supposed to have gone through all the things. He said, yeah, John, he said, that's one piece. He said, they have no critical thinking model attached to that. So I've got to take them and then start that process of how do you create an actual doctor, go from short code to long code. And he said, so we're hoping and betting on the fact that we can accelerate that. And then we actually there's lots of places inside healthcare that we anticipate our product being able to be used. We're excited about where we are in our journey. And those are the places that we would love connections.
Amazing. I love the mission, and I'm really grateful for your time. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that wraps up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. Again, thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey and your insights with us today. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. You can also find more resources and insights at closers.io, where we're dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their sales and marketing efforts through world-class systems and playbooks. Until then, keep on climbing.